Welcome to the Your Living Proof podcast. If you love someone struggling with addiction and are searching for answers, we're so glad you found us. Families are the cornerstone of long-term recovery, yet they often go unsupported. Our mission is to strengthen and support this vital but often overlooked part of the addiction recovery process. We're here to help families understand what their role is and isn't in this journey. Addiction deceives and takes everything you're willing to give. But if you know better, you can do better. And we're here to help you do just that. If you're asking, how can I help my addicted loved one? This is your community.
If you enjoy watching podcasts, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more support and resources between episodes, follow us on Instagram at Your Living Proof or visit our website at yourlivingproof.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Your Living Proof podcast. This is episode 106.
Happy summer, y'all.
Yeah, I hope everyone's off and running.
Summer's the very, very best.
Why does it go by so fast?
It does. It does. It's actually really kind of scary to me how fast it goes. Like at the beginning of summer, I'm always like, how are we going to survive this chaos? And then like 2 weeks in, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just flying by. And I start to feel sad that I only have like 3 more summers with my oldest child. And I'm already dreading having to go back to structure in the fall, and I don't know, it just takes over.
I mean, we're getting old. At least I am. You don't look like it.
Oh, sure.
I'm getting old, and time's getting precious. So summer just seems to go by. It's like if we have one day that we don't take full advantage of, I'm like,
yeah,
we're missing out.
Well, and I'm sorry, summers in Utah, I never want to leave Utah in the summer. It always bums me out if I have to go somewhere out of state, because I'm like, no, I'm in like the best place on earth right now. Like, summer in Utah is kind of unbeatable.
Nope, stop saying that. We don't want anyone else here. It's horrible. It's the worst. The people are crazy. The traffic's horrible.
It sucks. Don't come.
It is amazing. But it's also not for a good portion of the year.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is, depending on if you like that.
Yeah, no. 6 months out of the year, you're hanging on by the skin of your teeth.
Unless you have a lifestyle that allows you to just be up in the mountains skiing on the stuff.
If you enjoy that kind of torture, sure.
Most people do, but geez, nowadays it's so expensive and hard to do. But
true that.
Let's get going.
Okay, this is actually going to be a really fun episode because...
Yeah, she didn't prepare me at all.
Well, I just want to say a couple things. One, we have a lot of new listeners. So I'm like, if you don't want to go back to kind of, the beginning and re-listen to all the episodes, although I really do think you should. But if you don't, this is like kind of a great thing. So today is kind of a crash course. Like I'm going to have Danny, basically if anybody could come to a forum and hear Danny speak about addiction, what are like the top tips you would give to any family from a family addiction professional? Like, what are the things that you would say they need to know? Like, these are like the fundamental principles.
Oh, this is good.
Okay. That's what I want.
Okay. Can I just preface by saying these aren't philosophies these are truths about addiction that for some reason the world's neglecting to give families. And then when you work with hundreds and hundreds of incredible families just like yours, and you see these patterns of behavior that are almost identical in every situation, even though the individuals and circumstances are different, there's just these patterns.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my gosh, I love this. Like, should I just give like a couple?
That's what I want you to do. So just, you have a captive audience that wants to know what are the truths, what are the principles of addiction that I need to understand?
It's like when you're sitting in church and somebody just calls you up to come stand up.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we are going to have an impromptu testimony meeting today.
Oh my gosh,
and
yes.
Danny Deaton is going to preach. So,
this is so much better for my ADD than trying to get prepared and put notes down and then follow some sort of structure. This is great.
It could get wild, everyone. So
okay, I'm starting off with a banger.
Okay.
Right out the gate. The number one lie about addiction. The greatest lie and the number one lie is that they have to want it for themselves.
Yes.
I hate that phrase, and let me tell you why. Immediately when I say it, people push back, especially dads, especially religious leaders. No one, I don't know, if there is someone, they are truly and literally the one in a million, has just woken up one day and been like, oh my gosh, my life is unmanageable. Now, right, there might be people early stages, but we're talking about those that have developed the disease of addiction that ever just wake up and go, I need to do something different. And because believe it or not, most of them wake up every day wanting to change. They just can't. That's the definition of addiction. They keep doing this despite the consequences, the negative consequences. No one has ever just willingly woken up and then followed through by doing what was necessary to heal.
Well, yeah, it's one thing to be like, today I'm not going to use, but it's another thing to like
follow through on it.
Enter long-term recovery, 2 years later to still be towing the line.
I woke up most days for years determined that today was my last day. This was it. One last high, going out with a bang. This is it. I'm done. Nothing became more permanent than that cycle of insanity. So let me get back to it. The greatest lie about addiction is that they have to want it for themselves. People of faith rely on this thing called agency, that their loved one needs to exercise their agency and choose better. You'll even have programs when you call and say, oh, my son or daughter just overdosed, or my husband's become suicidal with his addiction. Okay, well, just let us know when they're willing, when they're ready. It's a lie. And why it is so dangerous is because all of the families like yours around the world, especially in this country, are sitting back waiting for their loved one to want it for themselves. Now, during the process, are they going to have to at some point want it for themselves? Most definitely. It's the only way they'll recover. But it is never what gets the process started. If someone is telling you this, they're lying. Someone or something, and I'm going to get into this point, has to intervene. We're going to get into that point in a minute. And then when that thing intervenes, hopefully they want it for themselves. This is just so dangerous because most families like yours are sitting back waiting for them to want it for themselves, waiting for this day when they magically wake up. It's not going to happen.
Well, praying for it, to be honest. Praying that like there's a miracle and that they will just grow out of this or be taken out of this by God, that like they'll have this spiritual awakening and want to move on. And that's just not how it works.
The biggest pushback in this
is actually not how God works either.
Correct. But the biggest pushback in this is really the tug of war between the disease concept and poor choices. At some point, your loved one was making poor choices, and along the way, they lost their ability to choose. If you can't believe the science about it that's out there that shows scientifically, neurologically, all these brain studies and scans that show the disease and how it affects a person's brain, just throw that out the window. Why would your loved one still be in this situation despite what's happening? If they had the ability to choose, why would this amazing person that you knew before continue to make these horrible choices? Gut check is they're not. They've lost the ability to choose. So stop believing that lie.
Love that. So that's principle number 1.
Yeah, and let me give you the second one right out the bat, the tip of the iceberg. This is another one that if you've seen our masterclass, I just hammer and hammer and hammer. Every time I meet with people, the first thing I hammer through to them is this, that what you know or what you found or what you've discovered is literally just a tiny fraction of what's really going on. Now, for most of you, what you're aware of already has you concerned. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. This isn't going to end well. I'm scared. This isn't good. For me to come and say, guess what? What you know is only a fraction of what's going on is hard to believe. Most of you are unwilling to believe it. Listening in now, you're like, no, I know.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people also believe like, no, we have a really open relationship. Like they tell me everything. Unfortunately, like they tell me things I don't even want to hear it.
You think you got a good grip on what's going on. You think you're aware of what's going on. Why this is so important. It is not meant to discourage you. But if you can own this truth, all you have to do is ask myself or the tens of millions of others in recovery from these addictions. The family understood and came to know of only the crumbs they dropped. Why? We don't want to disappoint. We don't want your threats. We don't want you on our case. We don't want you to worry. There's a million reasons. But why this is so empowering is because you're already concerned. And if you can own the truth that what you know is just this much of what's going on, then you stop thinking that you're crazy. You stop thinking that you're overreacting. Because when the illness that your loved one has starts to tell you otherwise, minimizing, it's not that bad. I mean, heck, that was our last podcast, the toxic way you've learned to deal with it. Then you actually come to a place of conviction that's like, okay, if I only know a tiny fraction of what's going on and it is already this bad, I am moving past fear, doubt, concern, blame, all of those things, and I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually really an amazing one, because I do know that so many people, I mean, and this is just even in our DMs where it's like, hey, this is where it's at, and I don't think it's bad enough to really, maybe join your program or enroll or get help because, it's just like this. But what should I do? Like, what would you say to that?
Oh my gosh. Early intervention saves lives.
And not just your loved one.
Yours. Early intervention saves lives, but it also prevents generations of dysfunction. Because if something doesn't happen, true, our goal is to intervene, give your loved one a chance, right? Early intervention, let's break them out of this. Let's get them the help they need. But early intervention hopefully gives you a chance to see things differently, work on yourself, heal, that you can work on your family so that this doesn't completely dismantle your family, and then turn into generational problems, especially when kids are affected by this. It will eventually manifest in their life. Not all of them, but unfortunately some of them. And then it just continues to pass on.
Such a good point.
Please just accept it. When you're like, no, I know they have a problem, but it's not as bad. Listen to I hope you caught the last episode we did. There's toxic ways that you've handled this. And now you can see that addictions, depending on those toxic ways that you've learned to deal with this, you're minimizing it. You're keeping secrets.
You're making exceptions.
Yeah, you're blaming it on things. Stop. If you found something horrific or saw something, you just found the crumbs they dropped. Stop thinking you're crazy. Stand in your confidence and let's do something about it. And you know what? Here's the problem. Everyone's like, well, what am I going to do something? What if I do something that makes it worse? You got to get past that. If you taking action and putting boundaries in place makes things worse, well, great. Something has got to get the party started.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to just wrap off. Can I give like 5?
Yes,
okay,
please.
That was 2. The third thing that's most important is, I just touched on this a second ago, someone or something has to intervene.
So, okay, I'm glad you said that, because that's the thing is, it's like most people, I think, are it's almost like you don't say it out loud, but it's almost like you're secretly anticipating the other shoe dropping at all times, right? Yeah. Like, what is going to happen? What catastrophic thing is going to finally happen that's going to push them over the edge and make them go, whoops, this has gone too far.
Okay. Here's a challenge. Most people fail. A majority of families are never able to do what's necessary. So it would actually be easier, and it would help you have a significantly better chance if a judge got involved. If there was some sort of legal parameters that took place with your loved one, because that might be what they need to intervene. Here's the sucker punch. And no one, not you, not anyone else, wants to believe it. Everyone's addiction eventually ends up in one of 3 places: death, incarceration, or institutions. Institutions is what we're preferring, right? Programs of rehabilitation. They can't open jails and prisons fast enough. They're all at max capacity. Go in there and listen to all the individuals and why and what led them there.
Mm-hmm.
That something finally intervened. They stopped a life of crime. They stopped using because something intervened. It was a judge, a police officer. But for tens of millions, it's death. I mean, individuals 18 to 45, if you look at the top leading causes of death, like 3 or 4 of the top leading causes of death have something to do with substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be better if a family effectively learned how to intervene the proper way, and that by putting these boundaries in place that are learning to intervene with our loved one come from a place of being prepared, supported, where we recognize that this is love? Those are the most effective boundaries, the best way to intervene. Because if your loved one does finally surrender, even if things had to get worse before they got better, they have a beautiful way out. Believe it or not, though, the way that most people are recovering is a judge stepped in and required that they had a long-term program of recovery or they sit in a cage.
Well, and that, so we did an episode, I think it was episode 98, but something that is just really, you have to understand right off the bat is that almost no one, over 95% of those struggling with substance use disorder, they do not perceive that they need any help.
Yeah. Oh, we put it in the show notes. There's a statistic in the Department of Health and Human Services. It was like 46 million known people that qualified as having a substance use disorder, better known as addiction. They interviewed them, and it was like 96%. I can't remember exactly. It was over 95% of them that were known to have the substance use disorder never sought help, and it was because you just said it.
They don't think that they need help. That's not shocking. If you have a loved one who's addicted, like you're like, yeah, no kidding. Like they definitely don't think that they need help. That's why it's such a ragdoll experience for families, because they don't think that they need help and you don't know how to intervene. So it's just kind of like this roulette game that you're playing of like, what's going to happen next what has to happen in order for something to change. The idea that we are presenting to you is that you are what has to happen in order for there to be change.
Oh my gosh, you just segued me perfect. You did this in our last episode we're getting good at this, which leads me to my next point that if I only had a few minutes, I'm going to share.
Point number 4.
This isn't fair. And it will not be convenient. So no, this isn't fair. Please go back to the point we made just a couple points ago. At some point, your loved one made poor choices. At some point, they were completely aware of doing something wrong, right or wrong. They knew it. Who cares? For one reason or another, they did it. And believe it or not, guess what? When they did that thing that was wrong, it immediately made them feel great, made them feel whole. It made them feel beautiful. It made them feel important. Very confusing place to be. I can speak from experience. So they made a poor choice, though. Even then, they were still making a choice. Over time, the choice was removed. They became a ragdoll. They became captive. They became prisoner, and they lost their agency. That's the disease concept of addiction. Like it or not, it's a fact. So no, this isn't fair, because your loved one made choices that led them down to a road, and now you are being affected. You are being lied to. You are being manipulated. You are being blamed. You're being controlled. You are being abused. As someone 18 years into recovery, I will tell you I was the most selfish, self-consumed person on the planet. In my addiction, nothing else mattered than what I needed to feel the way I wanted. In early recovery, the first good part of recovery, still extremely selfish. All about what I needed to recover. All about what I had to do. Me. It was only through a process of recovery that over time I realized, why is this? Well, because a spotlight was very bright on me. Lots of good reasons. I mean, it was wreaking havoc. It's a huge spotlight. I was fortunate. Who wasn't fortunate was everyone around me getting ragdolled, left in the dark, neglected, worn down, abused. This isn't fair. You didn't deserve this. I said it in the last episode, and I'll say it again. I say it in almost every group we have. Please separate the illness from the person that you know. They are sick with a disease that is not unique, with a disease that takes a person and it morphs all of them into the same type of zombie. That's the best way to describe it. The illness that they have is controlling them. The illness they have is lying and manipulating too. It's not them. So we're not here to condone what they're doing. But this isn't fair. And so what we're trying to say and present, I love that you said, is a way out of this is you. When you change, when you get empowered with the right tools and the right support to speak to the disease differently, I hope you see yourself differently. I hope you recognize this isn't something we can minimize. This isn't something that's just going to go away on its own. This isn't something that we're just going to wake up one day and it's going to be gone.
And it's not something that you're going to lecture them about and they're going to go, wow, that was really motivating. You know what? You're right. Totally going to change.
It falls into the other side of this. It's not going to be easy or convenient.
That's the thing, because you said it really quickly, but that was what I wanted you to talk more about, is the convenience.
No one wants to go do what's required to heal from this because it's inconvenient. It's going to require sacrifices of you, not only sacrifices of them. It's
a way bigger sacrifice for you, to be honest. If we're being honest about it, than them.
Yeah.
They get to go be selfish.
Well, they have to go do something that's difficult. It's an uncomfortable environment, but yet it's all about them. Someone's sitting there talking to them. There's a lot of efforts going into their healing, talking, feelings, health, well-being.
And meanwhile, you're just like, let me just hold the world together while you take a break and think about yourself.
So why is this important? Just own it. You didn't deserve to be here. There's the 3 C's that we always talk about. You didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you cannot cure it as much as you've tried. It's often the individuals that are able to carry the heaviest load, the biggest burdens, who have the biggest hearts, that get ragdolled in codependency longer than anyone else, because addiction will take everything you're willing to give it. So it's okay to say out loud, I am so mad. This is so unfair. I didn't do this. But don't stay stuck in that place. This is unfair. But if you want a path out, it's not going to be easy. It starts with you. And as unfair as that is, if you change, guess what? The sick person, they'll hear you. And often the way they hear you is they're threatened by you. It taught you over time to stay right where you need it. But when you become supported and empowered, oh my gosh, it's threatening.
That's it.
It's threatening because you're changing and it can feel it. Again, it's not your loved one. They're not being just uniquely cruel and evil and condescending. It's the disease they have that's feeling threatened from your strength. It is not fair and it will not be convenient. But if you can move past that to say, okay, this isn't fair, but I'm willing to do something and I'm willing to learn what it's going to take, then you stop being hindered by that. Okay, one more.
So awesome. What's your last one?
Okay, last one. The way that healing happens, the way that recovery happens, opposed to sobriety, is when it happens together. When the environment in which a person returns to, if they're lucky enough to go get help, if that environment changes, that's when the magic happens.
Separately but together, right?
Let me make sure it's very clear. It's the fishbowl mentality. We've all heard it.
I don't know if we have all heard it, so say it.
Let's say there's an old dirty fish tank and there's a fish in there that's just dying. And we go in there, we're like, oh, the fish. And so we grab that fish out. We wash him off. We clean up the fish. We make sure he's all good. Well, eventually we have to put him in his home. So we take that beautifully shiny, clean new fish and we put him right back where we got him from. That's why I hate addiction. Every resource out there, all the availability is for that fish. But very little, if any, is there to help and support clean the fish tank.
And I just want to say, just sorry to interrupt, but we're not suggesting that you have a dirty fish tank in terms of like you're not a good person and you need to change your life. It's that you have experienced trauma because of this addiction and it has changed you.
Whether you recognize it or not.
Yeah, exactly. You may not even recognize how much it's changed you and the rest of your family. That is the dirtiness that needs to be cleaned. Dirtiness in quotations mark that needs to be cleaned.
Yeah, thank you. Because when I say dirty, quote, dirty, it's that. Like, think about the ways that you've stopped caring for yourself. Every good parent does it, especially the moms and the wives. You stopped taking care of yourself. You stopped doing the things that you enjoyed. You accepted things you shouldn't. You tolerated things you shouldn't. You started to age. You started to lose sleep. You started to constantly worry. That's what we're talking about, like the dirty fish tank. I sat in a room once, I think I've shared the story before, in Utah. That was the former Senator Orrin Hatch. There was an opioid symposium. Leaders from all different organizations. He was addressing the epidemic of addiction in our community, and he was mad. There were all sorts of different people there from the Department of Health and Human Services, from the Corrections Department. There was someone that was overseeing therapists and family educators. There was a few treatment center owners like that he brought in, and he was just mad. And at the end of it, he slammed his fist on the table, and he's like, he called on a gentleman in the room who'd been in the industry for a long time, was well respected, and he said, I want the no bullshit answer. How do we have an impact? How do we actually do something to impact this horrible, it was the number one thing affecting the community he was overseeing. And the individual that stood up in the room was the director of one of the best, most prestigious programs in the country and said, hey, well, we live in a state with a lot of good resources. People who come to our program and get help and return to the same environment in which they left rarely recover. But those who come to a program to get a little bit of support, cleaning that little fish off, that return back to an environment that's changed, that's healed, they often recover. And I was fortunate enough to sit in that room as a little fly on the wall with a good friend of mine who brought me in there to listen. And it was that moment when I decided to create Living Proof, to empower that fish tank, for them to recognize the ways they've been affected. Because if the healing can happen together, that's when the miracles change. That's when the miracles happen. Sorry.
Well, and I think we mentioned this a few episodes ago, but just in Utah, there's 262 facilities for substance use disorder. That's a lot. That's like, I think it's 10 times what it was 15 years ago. Facilities are not the issue. We have plenty of facilities. We just don't have enough programs and support for families so that when your loved one leaves that little bubble and comes home to you, that you are empowered to know what to do.
Well, and here's the last thing. Most families, even yours, these great families, are not willing to look at their role in this. Some are, but many are not. And for good reason. Every other area of life you've done pretty well. You've done all the things that you've been asked to do. You have put the effort out there, you've done it. It's almost hard for us to recognize along the way how we've been affected. So here's my challenge. This is the opportunity. It's number one, by and far, the best way for someone to heal and recover from their addiction. But do we get to guarantee that? No. This is the most effective way to approach it, because even if that person we love never heals from their illness, it's an opportunity for the family to take recognition of how they've been affected, the lies that they've believed, the way that they've been neglected over time, to clean that fish tank, to get healthy. And I've just witnessed the miracles when that happens, whether or not it's with this sick person, which it often ends up being when your family does this, but it changes generations. It changes the way you interact with and parent your other children.
Oh, yeah.
Or grandchildren. We as a family learn different. I've said it before and I'll say it in closing. My addiction took a serious toll on my family. But what I went through was the most transformative blessing and opportunity for my family to change. When all of them recognized their role, all of them did some work of themselves in their own recovery because of, remember, this unfair place I put all of them in. It has changed how our families approached every tragic thing we have over the last 18 years. which has been quite a few things. We've learned to approach it different, to be united, to offer plans, to offer resources, to put boundaries in place, to do the necessary things. Our family would have never learned how to do that had we not gone through this. Mm-mm. So as difficult as it is, I challenge you to look at yourself and say, am I guilty of this? And if I am I willing to do my part, to clean up my side of the road, to acknowledge my part? And in order to do that requires you getting some help. This is the way that we heal. Because if your loved one follows your lead, when they do, you're healing together, which is when transformation occurs. And again, if they don't, at least you broke free from the vicious cycle that addiction held you in, and you're healing yourself and the other important, incredible relationships in your life. That's the guarantee we have when families actually reach out and get themselves help and support. I hope that helps.
Oh, I love it. That was so powerful. So if you can identify any of those just for you, I challenge you to share it with someone, because I guarantee someone else you know needs to hear this. These are 5 principles that apply to every addiction and to every single family. And they're just so empowering. So that was really cool. Thank you so much. And we're gonna close with the serenity prayer.
For families.
The serenity prayer for families. Sorry. God grant me the serenity to accept that I cannot change other people, the courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that it is me.
It may not be fair, you guys, but you are the difference maker and you deserve it. Thanks for being here.